Hello, my name is Lauren Pombianchi. Thank you for joining me as I present my lesson plan evaluation. I evaluated a lesson plan over floating schools. This particular lesson plan did contain a writing component. Specifically, this writing component was titled A Picture's Worth 1,000 Words. With this writing component, the students were allowed to use a graphic organizer. Then they used the graphic organizer to create a paragraph that showed how the visuals support the information in the article. The students also were allowed to interact as an intellectual community. Specifically during the prefix lesson, the teacher began with a mini lesson over prefixes, focusing on the prefix sub. And then as a whole, the students brainstormed other prefixes that also began with sub. And by doing this, the students were able to collaborate as an intellectual community. The students also used the language of the discipline. There were several disciplines in this lesson. For example, there was a language discipline, a science discipline, and a history discipline. They used prefix, which is a discipline of language. They used terms such as the water cycle, which was a discipline of science. And they also used terms such as Bangladesh or maps or atlas. That would have been a discipline of history. Did this lesson contain a project-based activity? This particular lesson did not contain a project-based activity, but it did contain components such as analyzing visuals, such as maps, charts, and graphs, and reviewing of the water cycle. These activities allow the students to experience learning from a scientist or a historian's point of view. Are students doing the work that a real historian or scientist would do? So I just kind of touched on that in the previous slide, but yes, there were several components that allow the students to interact from a scientist and historian's point of view. They thought like a scientist or a historian when they were reading a map. They thought like a scientist by defining vocabulary such as monsoon, architect, and constructs. They thought like a scientist when they were reviewing the water cycle. They thought like historians when they were locating Bangladesh and maybe determining why Bangladesh experiences monsoons. So overall, was this a quality lesson plan? There were some key points in this lesson plan that I enjoyed, but overall I did not feel like it was a quality lesson plan, mainly because there were too many learning focuses. Like I said, they had a language lesson, they had a science lesson, they had a history lesson, and in order for a child to fully understand the objective, there should only be one main learning goal. For example, the students would benefit from having one main lesson on prefixes, or maybe the teacher should have just focused on the water or just focused on the location of Bangladesh. I think that would have benefited the students more. So this is my review and critique of the lesson. Again, thank you for joining.